Hello, I'm Gideon, and this is my wife, Ene, and we just want to talk about why we chose to have a simple wedding. Um, Firstly, it was a decision we arrived at, um, partly because we intended to get married sometime this year, but um, last year when came to we came with my parents to her parents, and then we're talking about when to have an introduction and have all the family people together and all of that. Our dad, yeah, he's our dad now. Yeah, my wife's dad actually suggested that he felt it was better to do everything in one weekend, so people don't have to travel out of town, come in and go back, come for traditional wedding, go back, then come again for the church wedding. It was just going to be very stressful. So initially they were even suggesting we get married at like October.
October. Oh
Yeah,
my
they were
God.
like, does October work for you guys? We're like, what?
This year.
Okay,
Last
last
year.
year. And that was August, by the way. We're having this conversation in August, and they were asking us if we were.
And it's a year.
Yeah, 2020. Okay,
Yeah.
August 2020. And so they were asking if we were willing to get married in October. And I was like, what? We didn't plan for this. So in the end, we settled for December. But when we did that, we decided that we didn't want something overboard. We also didn't want to burden our friends. Our friends were also getting married. Four of our friends got married at about the same time that we all got married. So between November and December, we had three of our friends getting married, and even afterwards, there were still people getting married. So we felt we were not going to do the typical committee of friends thing, put people in a group and ask them to give us money. So we planned with what we had. How much did we have in our hands? So we decided, let's work with that and let's do something simple. Okay. So that was basically the reasoning around it. And so we sat down and decided to cut costs. We did the planning ourselves.
Yeah.
We still have the journal where we wrote down the things that needed to be done. So we had the task that needed to be done. We had the responsible person. So it was either me or her. One of us had to be responsible for delivering on the task. And then there was a timeline. So when do we want to get this thing done and all that. So in the end, when it was time for the expenditure, we also needed to get a house because I live in Kasina. So we needed to get a place here, we needed to get furniture and all. So when we did the budget for the things that we needed for the house, it was over ₦1 million. And then there was now the budget for the traditional wedding, then the budget for the church wedding. And we felt, let's be smart. Okay, we didn't need to spend all this money, get a hall for 400, 500,000 at the very least, and then spend 2 hours in it. It didn't really make sense to us, because you'd go to church from 10 a.m. maybe, get out by 12, take pictures, maybe get in there by 2 p.m. and then by 4 it's all over. And you've given somebody 500, 600,000 for that brief moment. And we felt if it was the food, we could get people food. So what we did was to get our caterer to package the food and bring it to church, so that as people when we finished the service, we just gave it to them. And,
Yeah, that food was very nice.
we're glad you liked it. Yeah. So we felt it was a smarter way to spend money, and it also helped to relieve the pressure on our parents, because if we didn't have the money to do it, it was going to fall on our parents, and we didn't want to put them under that kind of pressure. More so that both of us were the first people to get married in our both. I'm the first one. She is also the first one, and we're both the first people to get married. So we didn't want our parents under undue pressure. So that's why we decided to do what we did. And for the planning, we handled it quite well, I would say, because at the time when it was a week to the wedding, we had finished everything. We had booked the hotel where we were going to spend the night after the wedding, and we had booked the honeymoon. We had gotten our house at the time. We had moved in our furniture. So that's where we decided to spend our money. And then we also decided at that point to get a car, because we had some money on ground, and we felt if we do not buy this vehicle now, the wedding is going to come swallow the money. So let's get a vehicle, and at least when we come out, we will see what we have used our money. It's not for rice that people will just eat and go.
Forget about
it. So we decided to beforehand to get the vehicle, get the house, get furniture. So we made all those payments before the wedding, so that it was what was available that was left that we used for the wedding. So it was not as though we carried the bulk of our money to do the wedding, then use the change to set up our place. No.
And then we didn't get married and come and start have to settle debts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so relieving, because I've heard of people who, their first 3 months of marriage, they're trying to pay back money that they used to get married. I mean, we didn't want to do that kind of thing. So
yeah, it was very smart, I think. Because we got married, there's not in Naira. Nobody can come and say you didn't pay us. No, we didn't have any of those. And God did supply our needs. Because why? Very true. We did get gifts from people who were not paid for several months. I mean, people just gave sacrificially. So it did help. A week to the wedding, we still needed about 1.5 million naira with my wife, and so we were praying and saying, God, I beg, just help us, just help us. And funny thing is, we never got 1.5 million naira, but the wedding happened, and everything that needed to happen also happened. So we don't even know why we needed the 1.5 million. We just planned it. It was just on paper. So it was those were the reasons, and that was our experience. And afterwards, it was just so much fun, because when we were at the honeymoon was when we were making, because I had made some deposit payments for some things, and then so we're just doing transfers. Say, okay, take your money, take your money, take your balance. You have delivered, so take your balance. So that was basically it for us. And then we also, there were certain things though that we decided we were going to do as part of. We decided we were going to honor God. So we set aside an offering that we're going to give on that day that we're getting married. We also decided to honor our parents. So we decided to get them something that they would wear to just bless them for what they had done for us. So even though we didn't want to spend money unnecessarily, there were certain things that we put on ourselves that were necessities. So that we did those kinds of things. But we're also very moderate. That I bless God for the gift of my wife. I know people who have spent a lot of money on their gowns. But my wife is very prudent and very modest. If you're at the wedding, she looked really beautiful. Yeah. Okay. But it didn't cost us so much to get all of those things, because we looked for the best prices in the market, and we got very good deals in the end. So it also did help us budgeting and then looking for the best deals, not just splurging because you have a few thousands in your hands. Yeah.
So, did you get any like resistance to this plan
from friends,
family?
Well, initially, when I told my mom, we don't have a reception. Why? Why don't we not have a reception? I'm like, we just don't want to have a reception. He said, you don't have to rent a hall. You can't use the church. I'm like, oh, we don't want to have a reception. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just God. We didn't drag so much. They eventually accepted it because it looked like they had taken a stand and this is what we wanted to do, and they were fine with it. My friends were like, I didn't have a bridal train. I didn't have, like, why? We want to wear Ashebi.
We didn't
want
have
to
that.
do this one. We want, and then we're not complaining. We're going to buy the clothes for ourselves. I'm like, you don't have to stress. Just come for the wedding. Wear what you want to wear. Just come. We don't want to put people under pressure. And not everybody took it so well, but we kept sounding it and saying, this is how we want it to be. This is how we want it to be. They had to accept it because it was our wedding. And so, yeah.
I think that one of the things that also helped us greatly is the fact that prior to this kind of, to us making this kind of decision, our parents actually are people that respect us. So even though it was difficult for them to swallow, my mom was all okay with it, because she's seen that kind of wedding done before, and she was very happy for the cost. It was cost saving significantly. So she was all on board. My dad, no, my dad is a people's person, so he kept on wondering, even maybe 2-3 weeks to the wedding, he kept on talking about it. You know how someone complains about something. He's not telling you, say you didn't do the wedding, there's no reception, all that. But later on, they got on board, and in retrospect, they are happy that we didn't do it. Everybody is so happy.
No stress.
In retrospect, they were so excited that we didn't do it. So they may not have been fully on board, they may not have really liked it, but they respected us to the point that they let us decide what we wanted to have. And afterwards, our decision really looked good to them. They felt we didn't need to have spent that money. On our wedding day, by 2 p.m., we're back home, we're in our hotel room. And that was even because we had to take pictures afterwards and all that. Our parents were back home, rested. And, as at 4 p.m., they were telling us they had gone to sleep. They were resting, So it was energy saving, it was cost saving. It was just very good. We really had fun.
So what points do you have for people that are planning wedding? Just tips.
You don't have to impress anybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to impress, because if people will come, they will dance, they will eat rice. 2 hours, they've forgotten about the rice. It's on to the next one.
Yeah.
And it's just you left to struggle with the debt, that the monies you're borrowed, trying to pay back and all. So don't try to impress anybody. Be as modest as possible. Just try to live and do things within your means.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Do things within your means. It was one of the things our parents told us. They said, you see, plan this thing with what you have. And it was very helpful for us. Okay. Also, I think that it would be very helpful to begin to have those kinds of conversations ahead of time. So if you are thinking of, you should have a conversation about the kind of wedding you want to have. It should be something that you have discussed ahead of time. It is really going to help. You can never have the best wedding. Somebody is going to come and outdo you. If you like, spend how much, no matter the amount of money you spend, somebody will come and outdo what you did. A friend of mine had asked me a question, because when we finish medical school, we do an induction ceremony. When we do the induction ceremony, people do jotters, people, there's a reception ceremony sort of. And while I was breaking my head over what to do for my induction jotter, he asked me, he said, can I remember he was my senior in medical school. So he asked me, he said, who had the best jotter in their set? And I said, I cannot remember. And he said, exactly, that's the point. Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers who had the most expensive wedding. They may be all happy and nice, and the way that things happen in Nigeria, there may be 5 weddings on that same day. So they would come for your own, spend 40 minutes, 1 hour, leave and go to another. So they may not even, by the end of the day, they will not even remember that you had spent so much money. So keep it within your means. Okay, budget and keep it within your means. And I think that it is going to be good to also say that you should temper your expectations a bit. Sometimes we allow the things we see in movies, the things we see on social media, tension us into trying to impress. Forget about all of those. Just have the most important thing about the union is not the wedding, it is the marriage. So a lot of times people spend an awfully long time preparing for the wedding without preparing for the marriage itself. So the event comes and goes, and there really is nothing to show for it. I'd also say that you should begin to walk around. I don't know how best to put it, but there is, I don't know, there's that thing we call reps. I don't know how to put it. Your parents, you don't be burning your reps in front of your parents, so that the day you come up to make this kind of decision, it is easier for them to side with you if they respect you. Okay. But if before that time you are the kind of unruly person that they cannot trust and all that, it becomes very difficult for you to try to drive home a point and to say, oh, this is the kind of thing we want to do. It's really against the norm and all that. So it's really gonna help. What else?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yo.